All right. This is why I don't do this live, folks. All right, so we got flip the camera around. I may or may not leave this up afterwards. We'll see what happens. So, all right, so what we got here is Barbarossa Army Group South. There are 4 maps, but the 4th map is a sort of Rostov map that kind of happens over there somewhere. So we don't have to worry about that for this scenario, which is the campaign. So you're gonna see largely the top of my misshapen head. I'll leave that up. So I'm just gonna put the game map over here and rant. So hopefully this is working. That'd be cool. How do I even see the chat on this asinine thing? Yeah, right. Well, I guess we got to do it this way. Not a big deal. Can't get it to take the correct landscape orientation. I'm going live directly through YouTube. There is no intermediating software of any kind. So I had an extra day here, and I said I'll give myself a wargaming day. So thanks for those folks who are watching, and while I gripe about this, setting this bitch up. So this is probably not going to stay. Barbarossa, Army Group South. I've been wanting to get back to this series for a long time, and I hadn't managed to do that, other than setting up some of the really small scenarios from, I think, Kiev to Rostov. I hadn't played any of the big stuff in like prior, probably another 20 or 30 years. So I don't remember any of the details of the setup, but these have setup codes on them, and there's like a box with a number or a letter, and that might be the hex where it goes, but the hexes are spread out along all of these different setup cards, and I love that Vance von Voorhees, the designer, puts a lot of setup cards in here. There's probably some background noise. That's my furnace. If you hear any disgusting slurping sounds, that is the water processing system that is right next to the door that we're standing inside. So this may be the first time I've actually streamed from the game room itself. And I'm pointing the camera at the presentable side of the room, of course. So I've been like picking through this. So the way I sorted these things is kind of with, I think you'll be able to kind of get the picture here. So there's a setup box with a code in it that might be a hex number, but the color of the box will tell you what scenarios it applies to. If you're colorblind, too bad. I guess we didn't notice that kind of stuff back when these came out in the mid 90s, perhaps. So the best I could do was like kind of list the scenarios to which the counters in that compartment space apply, and the whole thing's a little bit frustrating because I'm like, empty whole compartment out, sort everything out, and then start trying to put it on the cards. And the problem is for the campaign, which is what this is, there's 3 different cards, some of which are used for multiple scenarios, parts of which you don't use for the scenario you're looking at, and there is no like separate setup cards for the campaign, like the campaign game, which is what this is supposed to be. So cool. I don't know. I finally got something set up. I did have to lay the maps a little flat for a couple hours to make sure that they weren't going to pooch too bad when I tried to put them under the plexi. So we got John Stanley, Steve the NPC, HUN644 new, William Campbell. Let's see who else we got. I saw Fucko in there before. Danny Seckery, Charles Satora, And there he is. So thanks for tuning in here. I don't promise that this will be entertaining content of any kind, but I want to babble for at least 15 minutes or so about this. So at least on a first setup, and very plausibly, there's some kind of mode or method that the experienced players of this series use to store the counters in such a way as to facilitate this setup. I'm sure there's something I might think of later, but right now I'm not seeing it. So I got to kind of find on all the little boxes on the 3 different cards where each counter is. And this thing's early enough that the cards are not in color. They are black and white, so nuances of color will not help here. And I do not, at this time, propose to make my own setup cards for this. So, anyway, this is, I think, some people's favorite of the 3 main games in the series: Army Group North, Army Group Center, Army Group South. There's nothing less main about the other 2, for that matter, so that's just dumb, but whatever. Some people think this is their favorite because you got the kind of big open tank country, and the bigger sweeping movements that you saw historically in the campaign. And I think that's a pretty reasonable preference. This was what I could fit on the table that wasn't Typhoon. So I didn't really want to do Typhoon, so I picked Army Group South instead. And it, like I said, it is 4 maps, so I had originally said, no, this won't work. And this is, of course, a 48-inch wide table. So if it's bigger than 48 inches without some kind of thing going on, I'm not going to be able to do it. So this one totally fits in this orientation. So this is a 3-map scenario here. And, of course, we've got the Caucasus Mountains down here, and we have the Black Sea and Odessa down here. This cuts off, I didn't see a turn record track yet, but I forget how many turns the campaign runs, but it's several months, I think, as I recall. I'd have to actually compare them, games in the series, to see if they all end on the same date. Certainly Crimea and Kiev Rostov, I think, don't. And that, of course, would add on to these maps if you wanted to do that, where you could keep playing another month or 2 or whatever it is on the Kiev Rostov maps. There's never been great integration across the series to do that, but you can, in principle, do it. Now, if you are an expert historian, then you probably could figure it out, but very few of us are here in the hobby. So we're just trying to find, as I continue to whine about it, where any of the units go. So I'm looking for AA units. It looks like there's like numbered ones, which I don't appear to have. But I don't have all the counters for this scenario sitting in front of me either, because I've got like a lot more compartments on here that apply to scenario 5, which is the campaign. There are a couple here. We'll pull these out and see. Actually, I think I saw this. Thing is, I saw it somewhere on which of 3 different cards. It'll turn up at some point. Those are distinctive enough. Those armored cars are distinctive enough that you'd think they'd be easy to find. You'd think. But then there's units that enter on the east map edge, or maybe a different map edge too, but for the purposes of this scenario, it's going to be the east map edge. I feel like I'm doing a puzzle, and which I haven't done one in years, and I'm like in that phase where I'm just getting started, and I really don't know where anything is yet. And this is a little more of a challenge than I was really looking for out of the setup, but hey, you know, that is kind of part of the learning curve too, right? And we found a river flotilla, so that's cool. And there's, of course, some markers on here too. There's a variety of fortifications, and there's some untried units that come out of a pool. I haven't even gotten to that stuff yet. Nor have I gotten to the errata counters. There were errata counters in a later game in the series, and I got to integrate those too. But I want to get everything on the cards before I do that. And it would be cool if I would get more of this setup done. So the phone made a noise, so I'm going to respond to that now. Hexy is here. I am not able to see the comments because this is a half-assed, impromptu, no planning, fumbled for whatever the equipment was needed live stream. All right, so I don't know if there was a notification or what, but thanks, whatever that was. So we will be back live on Monday night and Tuesday with the Chit Show as usual. So that will all occur on schedule, we hope. I foresee no problems, to be honest, unless something crazy happens. And another armored car. That's cool. Slowly starting to put the pieces together as I slowly extract the counters from the various coded compartments. I was looking for the airborne earlier because there are a bunch of airborne, Soviet airborne units in this. It is marked on the cards if units are entering off of one of the map edges as well. So the cards are well organized. I think that they're not dedicated to a specific scenario. I think is a little bit awkward. I'm emptying out all the tiny trays with only one or two things in them. I think I'd be able to, because of the lack of color, it's hard to see the headquarters. There's a 26 HQ. The fact that my eyes suck does not help particularly either. I haven't seen a goddamn one yet. And I would be inclined to color code the sheets in some way, the setup cards, to facilitate what maps, maybe color code the map IDs. So you could just look and say, okay, map E is the red map. I'm looking and the red boxes, so I can find on all three different setup cards exactly where this goes. Random NKVD units down. This is probably a great exercise to send everybody watching off to sleep this evening. As I sit around off camera, bumbling and mumbling Nor do I have any insight as to what the audio is like at all. Hopefully it's okay. I'm running everything off the phone, so the phone actually has excellent audio. Now that was another bust. So let's check up on the chat. It is going to be awkward to actually make progress here if I have to keep walking around a table to get to the phone. Really appreciate that there's this many folks watching, considering that this is going to possibly be entertaining content. I put in, I think this morning actually, I put in a big GMT P500 order that all, pre-order stuff that's well out on the timetable, but it was quite a bit because I had been holding back. And, some of that stuff won't be out for years. So it's not like I'm going to get snagged and feel bad about it. And I can always do as I have done several times in the past and go in and reevaluate it 6 months or a year from now and see what orders I would like to cancel. At least one time I've canceled and then reordered. In fact, this is one of them, although the reprint hasn't come out yet, for which we have been waiting literal eons. I have a good feeling that we will see Army Group North 2nd edition in 2025. I'm not positive, and this is not based on any information. This is just my gut feeling on it. I think it's possible for it to be in the first half of 2026, but I'm hoping for 2025. I'd give it about 60-40 2025. If I were a gambling man, which I am not. I'm also the world's most inept gambler. Last time I was in Las Vegas, I got made fun of because I believe this was the actual dollar value too, and I'm not just making it up. Well, I'm up $40, guys. I'm out for the night. I'm gonna get out while I'm ahead. So yeah, not the most aggressive gambler personally. In that kind of situation, when there's real money on it, this is different. I did like Vegas for the food, so there's that. Got some of these city garrisons and stuff here. It can all kind of go down together, but they're not all together on the cards. So, half the fun, however, of doing these live streams is not just me talking. It's interacting with the people who are watching. I think that's a huge part of why everybody watches. So I don't feel like I can do that here, and I didn't think of that. And now I don't feel like I had as much to say as I thought I had. So, so I think let me look at the chat here. I don't know how the hell this thing got started. So. The trouble is, I gotta actually take the phone off this thing and look at it, and it's gonna give everybody a shaky cam. I'm gonna try not to. John Stanley, good books for Christmas. Yeah, there's a book an academic book edited by Verlin Flieger on Tolkien's Legendarium that my sister got me. It's about $110 textbook, so I really appreciate that. And my wife got me a new copy of the Silmarillion in German, which I think is pretty cool. So, and it's a pretty slick edition. It's not like a fancy edition. It's just like a trade paperback, but it's in German. It's pretty cool. So that's my motivating to get better at German. Got the so this is, I guess, this is the only wall I think is not shamefully disorganized. This is like post reorganization over here. We've got most of the series games are on this wall, but that's not a perfect statement because we've got the East Front series on a shelf with some other GMT stuff, and you know some series only have one or two games in them, so those get staged as standalones. But I moved this shelf that was holding Decision. I started to think maybe those big box games are a little heavy, considering that this is mounted with these dumb brackets, which were inexpensive. But hey, and they're mounted in the studs. I mean, I verified that. So it hasn't collapsed yet, but these SPI games are way lighter. So I feel much safer with these. They're also at the maximum elevation off the floor, which is also nice. So then we moved OCS over here. Then red line in the corner. We've got a variety. I don't know. Is this sideways for anybody? Or is this in like cell phone mode? Anyway, 3W up there. I'm pretty sure that's it from 3W, other than maybe an S&T issue or two. Avalon Hill, because that's where it fits. Except the flats. The flats are still in the office. I kind of want to move them out here, but I don't know where to put them right now. Great Battles of History, Great Campaigns of the American Civil War, Great Battles of the American Civil War, the Library of Napoleonic Battles, the Der Weltkrieg series, got the Finnish trilogy, the two Pacific games that GRD did in the Europa cousin, whatever it's called, Glory, I think, for the Pacific. Those are, I think, the only two that they did. And somebody was kind enough to send me Duel for Kharkov. Of course, we got OCS. And I've got another shelf, another bookcase, I should say, that's about half full of war games outside in the other room that I'm not going to show you. So, Europa on the bottom and Compass in here. The dirty secret is I really organize by box size and format, right? So I tend to put flats with flats and bookcase boxes with bookcase boxes, even if like the Avalon Hill ones, for example, are all a little smaller than most normal ones. So that's why the big Europa games, which are all flats and are down on the bottom, and I got the Lobatai, which are kind of an odd form factor, although Clash of Arms has been reasonably consistent with it for the last several products. Marshall Enterprises. The Lobatai to ECMO came in, by the way. That looks awesome. So, Clash of Arms, Thin Red Line. It's kind of the Thin Red Line series at this point, just because I don't want to find another place to put the Fate of All. So, everything else you've seen, I think. And then anything else I was going to show you is going to go to the messy half of the room, so we won't be doing that. So anyway, 35 people came out, so yeah, no kidding. Cell phone mode. Okay, cool. If as long as it's working, that's cool. It's good to know. I haven't done this in so long that I normally use StreamYard, and it's kind of a thing, right? So off it goes. Anyway, we've been live for about 24 minutes, so I think this is a great time to. Oh, I should talk about that. Yeah. So Paul Dangle's asking about the new kids that are in the house now. They are in the master bedroom. I'll call it a suite. It's not really that fancy. It's a master bedroom with a bathroom there. So, but they're up there. There's a litter box and food and all that stuff. They're eating like crazy. They came off the streets and were like still malnourished when we brought them home. So they were eating like crazy and they're pooping a lot. So we've noticed that. They're very active. They're starting to get pretty friendly. They like to get scratched now. They both seem to be on board with the scratches, even if they're not as on board with the picking them up. So we're going to keep them segregated from the rest of the animals in the house for, we'll see how it goes, but probably at least several more days. The longer, the better. within reason, is what I say. But they've been segregated for longer than any of our previous cats. But not all of our previous current cats are well-behaved cats, so there's that. So anyway, yeah, John Longshore, I'm going to talk about the new MMP stuff on the Monday stream. There are some new things. I put my order in I put it all in the same order, and that might have been stupid, because then if I want to cancel it, I can't without canceling the whole thing and losing my place in the line. So I'll probably let that order for Falschmjäger go through. It is an interesting looking game with a pretty good reputation. I won't hate it. And it's going to be a straight reprint, with the possible exception of them redoing the box, although that has not been confirmed within my hearing. And then there's the other reprint is Aracore BCS, and the two new items are the Wilderness game, No Turning Back, for Line of Battle, and what was the other one? Inflection Point, which is the East Front BCS game. So I've ordered all that stuff. So there's that. I think we have a GMT update to cover this Monday as well. So anyway, who's not as grumpy as they pretend? Damn you, I'm grumpy. So yeah, well, we'll be putting the lid on this when we have them out. But right now they can't get in here, and I'm even putting a cover over that tonight. Although I'm not putting these huge lids on. If there's not stuff on the map, I don't really need to do that yet. I'll just make sure the counters are covered, and it'll be fine. They're not that devilish. These orange cats, they might end up being very devilish. We will see. So the kittens, having two new kittens in the house who are not like totally miserable wretches, is a tremendous mood enhancer. Let me put it that way. So anyway, all right, folks, thanks for watching. I don't even know how to get out of this fucking thing. How about that? So thanks for watching. We will be back live, and I'll put a title on this or something when it goes up onto the feed, but right now I don't care. But we'll be back in the normal schedule and swing of things on Monday evening, and I will see you all then.